Hi there. For those of you that don't know me, I am Jamie Ledbetter, the District Technology Integration Specialist, and I wanted to recap for you the meeting that we had for our first AI cohort. Some of you were not able to attend, and some of you have just stumbled upon this PD because you're interested in AI for teachers. So, I wanted to walk you through what we did at our first AI cohort meeting. The content of this meeting was geared towards teachers using AI for their classrooms. So, these are not things that you would necessarily have students directly working with AI on, but the teachers are using AI to lighten their workload. So, using AI to do things like lesson planning or unpacking standards or coming up with questions or anything really that takes a lot of time for teachers. So, the way our meeting kind of looked, a little general overview, we did some introductions. We kind of got a feel for where everybody's at as far as using AI. And then we did a little example of how AI looks and how it's different for everybody that uses it. We did a self assessment. So these are kind of the goals we want to set for using AI as teachers, followed by a mini lesson. And then we did some work time and planning with connected learning. So we want to get a feel for everybody's AI journey and what they've experienced so far. So we had everybody complete a Mentimeter. So if you can see it, it looks a little blurry on my end, but it might be clear for you. If you can see it, and I will include the link in this PD as well, you're going to go to menti.com and enter in that code 11485220. And there are some questions for you to answer about your AI journey. Um, the first one is a sliding scale of kind of where you're at as far as your AI journey. So either completely new, being more the 1 or 0, and then 10 being it's not new at all. You're basically an AI expert. So there's that question, followed by, and it won't let me scroll through this, unfortunately, followed by a question where you're basically going to put that into words. So explain to us kind of where you're at in your AI journey. And then you'll answer a question about what reservations you have about using AI, and also a question about what you're excited for as far as using AI. So you'll answer those questions. And again, I'll give you the link to this Mentimeter in the resources for this PD. So the try it scenario that we did, let me just explain to you kind of how it looked when we all did it together, and you're welcome to try it on your end as well. So the scenario was to imagine that you've been thinking of alternative ways to take attendance, but you don't want to use higher end technology tools in your classroom to do so. So we asked everybody to pull up ChatGPT, and they all typed in the same prompt. So we all typed in non-technological methods that teachers can use to take attendance. And when we talked about how our results compared, we had several people who had the same answers, but we also had quite a few people who had different answers, or their answers were in a different order, or one person got 10 completely different results from somebody else. So we just talked about how really it's up to the luck of the draw and what you get from AI. So continuing to prompt AI for what you want will continue to give you results. So that AI is just going to keep pulling up information for you. So if there's something that you don't like about the results that you get, you can always regenerate and get different results. So after we talked about that, we had teachers um, fill out a survey that was based on their goals of what they want to make easier in their classroom. So continuing back to the Mentimeter, it's not showing the slide that I want it to show, of course, but there are five additional slides on that Mentimeter that are also sliding scales, and they're separated by educator functions. And those educator functions are really just tasks that you have to do in the classroom. So you're going to complete that sliding scale and basically rate what you want to work on or make easier using AI. So you'll complete those as well. After that was done, we had a little mini lesson. So let's talk about the difference between a chatbot and Google and how to effectively prompt AI. So lots of us grew up in kind of the Google era. And if you didn't, you've been around for the Google era enough to know how it functions. So when you Google something, that's kind of been almost a default for a long time. Somebody will be like, oh, they'll ask a question like, what was the score of the game? And we look it up on the internet, right? We Google it. Or somebody will say, I don't know, Google it. So the way that Google works is we type in the question or what we're looking for. And Google searches the entire internet and pulls up websites that are related to what we have searched. So it's pulling up what it thinks is the top users. A lot of that is based on who pays to be the top user or the top result in a Google search. So then we have to go through those results and we have to filter through the information and decide what is useful for us. A chatbot is different. So chatbots are based on a database. So those databases are loaded by humans, and anything that's not included in that database is not going to come up in a chatbot result. So they can only work with all of the information that they have loaded into those databases. Usually, they're not citing sources. Some AI chatbots do, especially the ones that are geared toward educators. Those are citing sources, but lots of them don't. And again, it's only pulling from a trained database. And the other thing that makes it different is that it's going to summarize that information for you. So it's taking all of that information that was loaded into the database and it is summarizing it for you and deciding what's important based on what you asked it for. And it will summarize it for you. You're not having to go through and sift through the information and decide what you think is important. The chatbot basically decided for you. So that's kind of how those two things are different. And we want to remember, especially as we are using these AI resources for our purposes in education for creating resources, we want to make sure that we're checking for bias and accuracy because, again, they're pulling from databases. So some of these databases are very biased, so they're only putting in information that they agree with, and they might not be accurate. For example, in our session, we talked about how ChatGPT, the free version, the database hasn't been updated since October of 2021. So anything that's happened in the last 3 years is not going to come up on that chatbot because it doesn't exist in the database. So we want to make sure as educators that we are checking everything we do in AI for bias and for accuracy. So again, this is not just a take and go. We want to make sure that we're double checking what we give to students or use with students. Magic School AI, they promote the 80-20 approach. So basically using AI as a springboard. So you use it to get some ideas, kind of get you started, and then you take it and run with it, add your own spin on it, and create what you want. So again, this AI resource we're going to talk about here in a few is not something that you're going to use to take and run with the information. It's not, I'm going to do my lesson plans at 7 in the morning, school starts at 7:30, and I have something ready to go. It does still require planning. It just takes a little less. Your judgment does matter. So again, making sure that what you're picking up in AI, if you look at it and you think, that doesn't seem right, you're probably right. So just make sure that you're using your best judgment. Also knowing the limits of the AI. So remembering that the knowledge stops on the last training date. So you might not be getting the most up-to-date information. So again, we want to make sure we're checking it. And we also want to make sure we're protecting our privacy and our students' privacy. So don't ever include personal information in anything you're putting into an AI or a chatbot. Prompting AI is one of the hardest things to do. And we wanted to give you guys an example of what to ask for when you're prompting AI. We're going to talk a little bit about Magic School. And what I like about Magic School is it has the prompts for you. So you basically fill in the blank of the information. But if you're using something like ChatGPT or Google Gemini, then you want to make sure that you're prompting it correctly. So we want to include kind of the role we're taking on. So I am an instructional coach, or I am a 7th grade science teacher. Create a task, whatever that task may be. So create a lesson plan, create a strategy, create DOK level questions, whatever you want the task to be. And then you'll include any specific information you want about that specific task. So you'll have this as kind of an AI prompting guide. We've also created a Google Drive folder for you guys that we are putting resources in. so that you have some guides for prompting as well and some other AI resources. So we wrapped up our time together by doing some explore and planning time. So we introduced everybody to Magic School AI and had everybody create an account and kind of explore those tools. I will put a separate video up about not what AI, but what Magic School is and how it functions and how you can use it to help you lesson plan and and not even lesson plan, but making lots of teaching tasks easier because there are lots of tools in Magic School that you can use. The last thing that we did after planning time is we asked everybody to fill out this Google form. We are wanting to do a pilot of Magic School. So if you're interested in participating in that pilot, you can use Magic School with teachers and with students. So if you're interested in participating in that pilot for Magic School, please fill out this form, and I will also link it in the rest of our resources so that you don't have to scan the QR code or type in the link. So thank you for watching this far, and I hope to see you at our next cohort meeting.